Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room that we escaped from in the previous episode of this podcast.
Caroline, Tom, Ella.
You've done it!
Look, you did it. You sort of went down in a blaze of Pyrrhic victory, but it was a
completed the
victory
room.
nonetheless.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Wow.
We each got one at the end. That was great. Each of us solved one of the things. That was amazing.
Well, yes, I was going to say, I'll ask people, was there a moment in the room that you felt
It felt
smart
like you
that
each
paid
got
off
some
you, but you
ownership
didn't sort of
there.
get that moment?
Yeah. That was, and I feel like once because we went straight in for what was the hardest puzzle. And we were like, this is the one we're going to dedicate ourselves to. And once we got over that hill, it was like, oh yeah, no, everything feels so much better now.
It went a lot faster after the ease, for
Yes.
sure.
Definitely.
Caroline, I think, was easily the strongest player there. I feel like you got the most out of
you.
everyone.
As legs often are.
Yeah.
But it was also the perfect example in one of those puzzle solves of why I tell people, or why we tell people, talk out loud, talk your thought out loud. Because Caroline had a thought that was 85% of the correct thought. It was, wait a minute, write them down, write the number down, and then we count the number of E's in the number, but you had the wrong numbers. You were looking at 11, 20, 32. And that was enough for Tom to go, wait a minute, yes, you are right, let me just, you've set me up, let me just knock it down. It's actually the 1 has 1 and the 2 has 0. And so it's a perfect example of if you just start speaking, your idea might not be the exact idea, but it could be so close to the way that someone else can pick it up and keep going with it. And I thought that was a perfect illustration of that, and it worked out so well.
Yeah, really interesting and insightful. But more importantly, I wanted to just go back a few minutes and say that we sure didn't skip leg day today because Caroline was the...
Exactly.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
cool.
Thanks, Strait. Good stuff, Tom.
I'll edit that in
stick to
even
arms. I gotta
later in
stick
the
to arms.
episode. I'll edit that in 10 minutes later.
But yeah, it was great to watch because obviously that ease puzzle, that's the most puzzly puzzle of all of these things that is just a sit and stare and find patterns and things like that.
Yeah.
But seeing you solve the more practical puzzles, the three kids in a trench coat having ideas about how physics works.
It's very interesting
great.
because I'm sure there are folks who are so puzzle brained that the moment they see that, they know exactly the answer to it. And I think, it's very funny. And again, to be crystal clear, not at all planned from your script that we would be 3 kids in a trench coat.
Not even
just
a little
something
bit. It was
we said at
fascinating.
the start.
Which is why I'm happy to give you the separate ending of it was actually 7 children
ending.
who all get kicked out.
But that truly is our puzzle solving energy, I think. Is 3 kids in a trench coat.
Yeah.
I also like this room had a little bit of the this thing of when you ask someone, oh, and hey, you were introduced to all these people earlier. What are their names? And they go, oh my God, I wasn't paying attention to anybody's names. Where there was a huge part of this that was solved by, do you remember anything about Trent? Do you remember how greasy he was? How he had a towel and an apron? Have you forgotten everything we told you about this man?
I remember the beach. I remember he gave a beachy vibe.
Yeah.
He did.
I just feel like I had a real obsession with Trent and asking him things and interacting with him in some way that possibly was like, oh my God, stop asking Trent questions, please.
I cannot believe that the way that if that was just a 9-letter code, that A to I, that the letters of beach look like a T.
Yeah, because the puzzle was designed before the character was named.
Yeah,
even if you'd seen the T, you wouldn't have even noticed.
He wasn't called Trent before the plate, until after the play test.
What was he called during the play test?
Yeah,
Tourniquet.
That's right.
So you'd never forget the towels.
Yeah. No, it was great. So I played this room myself recently, and I will say there was a moment where you could have made me look like a fool.
I thought you were going to.
And I thought you were going to. And then you made me look like a genius. Because during the playtest of this, there was only one change that we really made. Everything else worked perfectly. There were minor changes to
Couple of wordings.
mistakenly describe stuff or things that. But the big change I had was originally when I approached those umbrellas, they were set up with the colors blue, blue, yellow, orange, and that was the whole puzzle.
There were no drinks at the bar.
No drinks at the bar. It was just to go like, well, one has one color, one has two colors, one has three colors. Set them to those things. And I didn't do that at all. I didn't get that. And I said, I don't think anyone's going to get that. I think it needs a confirmatory thing that gives you the code to figure out this. And when you came up to the umbrellas, there was a moment where I thought, they're about to just count the colors, aren't they? They're about to count the bloody colors and make me look like a fool. But you didn't. Oh. And then you went to the bar and you were like, oh my God, 4 colors,
right
one color.
Away.
They're the limits. And I was like, yes. It was the right call. Although I will say the exact implementation of that was we had a couple versions of the drinks at the bar or drinks on a menu, and your thing of like, here are the 2 drinks, one with an open flag. Let's have flags in drinks. Umbrellas in the drinks. That was your idea, Anne. Yeah. So you also, Danny, look like an incredibly smart person.
That said, this is just the Bartenders Association of this cruise ships. It was the world's idea that there are real drinks that are blue and a rainbow paradise of blue, yellow, orange.
Danny found an actual drink.
Real.
After having designed the puzzle, you went and you found a 4-colored drink that exists in the real world that is layered blue, yellow, orange, and red.
They could not look more cruise shippy.
It was wild. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That's so. Also, the way that it was, instead of giving us 4 drinks, just giving us the opposite ends felt very clever. It's fascinating that objectively you gave us more clues than if it was just the umbrellas, but in giving us more information, it made it feel more interesting, which is right, because normally you think it's like, abstaining clues makes it feel harder and more clever, but it's actually like sometimes giving more information can make it feel more complicated.
And it also means that if you come up with the solution, it feels like you're paying off a thing you've discovered, and it loses any sense of being arbitrary, where you're like, maybe this would be the right one. I'll try it out.
Yeah.
And when you get it right on that thought, it's like, oh, okay, I guess it was the right one. Rather than, I cracked the code. It's just I guess that
payoff.
Because I had another thought in mind coming up afterwards that I would have tried after this. But no, I guess it was right. So like when you get a real sense of like, oh, you're locked in. You know this is it. There's no feeling of like, could it be this? It's just bang. Yeah. It creates a stronger puzzle solving.
That was an interesting one when trying to deal with the ease puzzle, because you were trying so many different things, and I really wanted to impart the idea of no, you'll know it when you've got it. Trust me.
Yes, and when you did, as soon as you got it clicked. Yeah. What was wild from our point of view was listening to you literally say ease. Oh, we should count up the number of E's in each of the words, because each of these words has a certain number of E's. And why don't I count up the E's in the... And you started like, advanced has 1 E and please... And we went, okay, they're so close. They're right there. It is counting the number of E's. You do need to count the E's, just not those E's. There are other secret E's.
I really appreciate y'all trusting us, because Lord knows we certainly did not trust ourselves to solve that.
No, when you did.
It was one of those things
dive straight into that one.
Leading up to it, I was like, this will not be worth it. This will not. And then the moment it hits, I was like, this is so worth it. This is so great. This is amazing.
I have to say, I really, really enjoyed that, even working with other people.
Yeah.
Mostly because if I hadn't been working with other people, I would not have gotten anything. I felt like I struggled my way through that. You guys did so well. And every time something happened and clicked, I felt like the most wonderful sense of satisfaction, but completely unearned on my part.
You got the beach chair.
That's the only thing I got the entire
fully ready
time.
I was so happy
and fall to the sharks.
It was a great, the chair thing was great, because you also kind of realized that when you extended out, the control lever, which was at the feet, would be just in your hand.
Clever.
You're like,
that did not
so
click for me at all.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah, I was just so happy, because this room, it's just got the one big puzzle, and then everything else is just... MacGyvering your way through things.
Yeah. The Indiana Jonesing the necklace and stuff.
Yeah.
So it really was designed for kids in a treasure coat. It's amazing.
It was. I cannot, now that you have seen the room, you can try to reverse back to my position where you had said, hey, we can be 3 kids in a trench coat, and me going, I think this will elevate the room
I think it might be
rather than
enhance
take
the
from
room.
it. I think this works.
Oh, I can't wait to listen back to that.
It is rare that I will allow anything like that to legitimately happen because
when
I
you were
don't like
I'll allow
improvising.
this,
I
was
don't like changing
so-
things.
Yeah, I was so surprised when you said, I'll allow this. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean?
Why would you allow this?
I was also really psyched for the dice roll. I almost said that as a joke at one point, being like, "Can I roll for something?" And then getting to is so.
I
Delightful.
loved it. The only like this ring toss, I was not generous when I came up with those rules.
But
it is a
also-
hard game of ring toss.
They're good rules, right? The bigger ones
Yeah.
score more points, but it's less and less likely that you are going to land the ring because the die gets bigger and bigger, but you still only have two things that could win. It's like
I
it's
don't
just a
mind-
really elegantly put together system for a tiny game of ring toss, to be honest.
I do like the idea of coming up with ways of sabotaging Aaron
Yeah.
through this.
Yeah.
I found that fun. I should have allowed even more of it from the start.
Now, while we're talking about ring toss, for the edification of everybody at home, there were two endings to this room:
Oh, sure.
a win
Oh.
and a loss.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
we haven't heard either of those endings because neither of them involves 7 children. So,
Okay.
can we, for the people at home, can we just read
Oh,
through those
yeah.
endings?
Sure, they're very short, and then like neither of them is satisfying in quite the
Oh,
same
God.
way.
Oh god.
And both of them are very similar. If players lose to Aaron, the look on Aaron's face is horrible. You've never seen a grin so hideous. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to sit in one of my chairs and enjoy the peace and quiet. And you are just seeing red. You're letting a million insults run through your brain, but you are people of your word. You vowed that you wouldn't set foot on the adults-only deck for the rest of the voyage. So be it. You know, there is actually quite a lot to do on board a cruise ship. This isn't as terrible as you've built it up to be. On the other
I
hand,
was gonna say the stakes.
Yeah.
on the other hand, you are absolutely making your plans for revenge. Maybe a late night heist to get your hands on the necklace a bit more permanently. Maybe that's
Ooh.
putting too much on Anadidi, and maybe Aaron himself has some goods that you could. The options are endless, really.
So that was for losing.
3 kids in a trench coat will return in.
And if you
they'd
win,
won.
quite frankly, it's even less satisfying
Sure.
Oh.
because it was so unlikely. I didn't put too much effort into it. The look on Aaron's face is horrible. You've never seen a grin contort so quickly into a snarl. Ugh, this place is a wreck anyway. He turns to storm off. He even throws Trent a dirty glare as he passes, as if this is his fault.
No.
Anadidi,
Trent.
meanwhile, has re-entered the spa and seems unaware of the drama. Oh, speaking of, you'd better put her necklace back soon. Don't want to get kicked out for being a thief right after your victory here. Once that's done, you adjust one of the umbrellas, drag a chair to the pool's edge so you can lie down and dip your feet in at the same time, and the holiday can begin.
So only
Yay.
Caroline would get to enjoy
Nice.
that as the feet,
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
legs.
Yeah.
So we got the ending with the necklace.
Yeah, I guess so.
Honestly,
You got everything.
yeah, I feel like ours was the most fun ending.
Yeah.
You got the riches, you got drunk, and now everyone knows you're a kid, so you can go to the kids' club area instead.
Yeah.
Which is where the previous episode took place.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that kids' club. There are 4 free creepy animatronics in there.
They're not
Oh, no.
creepy. They're very
Okay.
wholesome.
Oh boy.
The
immediately
chairs that are all
disagree.
deflated. It's not good.
Ugh.
I'm
It was
so
probably
excited
these
to
guys
listen
that
to
made
the-
it so
the connecting
bad.
Pieces.
True. Yeah, so that is an interesting one. We haven't really talked about this much with these episodes, but usually when we either do completely standalone escape rooms or we'll do a set of either 5 or 10 rooms that have a storyline, that like one meta narrative that is being advanced with every single room, the chapters in a connected story.
Yeah, but these
This is the first time
ones-
we've done something that is different. But now you sort of started to pay off connections between the rooms and be like, hey, here's a thing that, like this one has really, I
just
think
little
the
things.
only technical, the only
Yeah.
real one, the only written one in this one was that chair is going to fall on someone's head and injure them, which was the one from the first.
Exactly.
But yeah, how did you feel in terms of like, obviously for you guys, this was a self-contained escape room. Did you feel like you had a fully self-contained experience? Were you like, oh, what's going on with the rest of these episodes? How did it feel?
That's a good question.
Oh, I thought it was the perfect amount of like a little bit of mystery, but I felt like in character we would just be like, oh, okay, I wonder what that would be.
You did click immediately. You just went, wait a second, that's going to be paid off for someone else, isn't
Feel free
it?
to cut that.
No,
I was just
absolutely
like-
not.
Was it? Did one of Tom or Ella say, what if that like hit someone or something?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah, Tom
Something
pegged
along
the
those
meta.
lines was mentioned, and then it was like, oh wait, that immediately did pay off in that way, which is delightful. I loved that
It is
that little
delightful.
hint of how we can impact other players of this season.
Yeah, so we've got bits and
very
pieces.
cute.
One or more of the many characters now from this room may appear in the next episode. Who knows where things are going to go?
I think I kind of like this structure because we have like I think the stories that we have told with like especially like the 10 episode arcs are really nice. There's some you've put together some really compelling and interesting like stories that for the listener are really fun. But I always feel bad for the people
players,
playing because they'll be
someone
like
who gets like episode 3 out of 10.
and we'll like give them a cliffhanger and they'll be like, hey, this episode's going to release in 4 months. Sorry, you'll never know the cliffhanger. We're not going to. And so we'd like tell people where things got to or like try and give them a sense of their place in the story.
You know what? Sometimes performers don't get given the whole script.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I figure it like, hey, if you were on a TV show for one
But
episode,
I do
that's
enjoy
how it goes.
standalone things. I like giving people endings,
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever those
yeah.
endings
I
may end
also-
up being.
It's cool because I feel like the individual episodes have like very confined and like very clear endings, but the meta world, the way it connects like in your mind can kind of sort of like run free. Like you can imagine, I'm sure like listening to the other episodes be like, oh, I wonder what they would have gotten up to, running into each other on the ship, or like
Yeah.
it's sort of you can create your own like fan theories or fan fiction about
Yeah.
like what this world is and how it connects, which is fun.
Yeah, I like it. I think I think we could do something like this again. I think it also takes some pressure off you for writing a full meta story, but I like these
True.
location-based or this feeling-based sort of.
It is interesting.
rooms.
I wonder how many different locations there can be where it is same setting, but all of the 4 to 5 rooms you come up with are different
Yeah.
enough to warrant it being that way. Like a cruise ship, there
Yeah.
are a million different things that you could choose, so it wasn't that bad. How many cruise ship style things like that are
You
there?
keep it on cruise ships, but you do multiple stops on a pirate voyage through the Caribbean.
You really want me to do
It's a pirate
pirates?
ship again. We're bringing back pirate ship rooms, but you stop in Tortuga. Yeah, there you go. I think
It's not
the room went
bad,
really
yeah.
well. I think you guys played incredibly, like it. Like it was a long recording, but because it's a complex room, right? Like your progress, other than getting kind of bogged down in one puzzle, which is exactly where you should have got bogged down. Like that is the intended bogging location.
And honestly, getting bogged first as opposed to losing the moment. I feel like after,
Yes.
once we hit that, like we hit our stride, and it
Yeah,
felt really
yeah.
great to go through the rest.
That can often be
Um,
true. I find that in some physical escape rooms. There are often physical escape rooms where the absolute hardest puzzle is the first thing that you encounter, and you go, oh no, I've been here for 15 minutes. There's a whole other room on the side of this door. I
Yeah.
feel like a moron.
But what was especially nice is
But
it wasn't the first thing you encountered. It was just the first thing that you tried really hard to
Yeah.
solve. So you already
Yeah.
had so many pieces lined up.
That's
so
true.
once you hit it,
Yeah.
like you didn't need to go back to search mode. You were like, no, I'm in solving mode and I've got everything to solve. So let's just boom, 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 and solve them. So it worked out
I
pacing wise
also-
really well.
Loved the build up to the finale and then the introduction of a new mechanic. I felt like really like a boss battle, like really
Oh,
really
yeah.
psyched for that by the end.
Ah, that's nice. I had fun. I think that may have been literally the first thing in the room that I came up with. Was I wanted
An asshole who wants to play ring toss.
legit. The concept of this one was always going to be some kind of challenge or competition, then some sort of rich guy turf war, and then ring toss, and then we're going to use dice for this ring toss game.
And then I guess I'll design an
And
escape
then
room.
I was going around like asking relatives, hey, I need a small ring, a medium ring, and a large ring. What feels like an object that's medium ring size? No reason.
Oh, yes.
I'm pretty sure at one point the bar was going to have some food, and in the bin was going to be a really stale donut.
That's a small ring.
Oh, that's good.
An engagement ring,
I'm-
a
Oh,
donut.
that's tiny.
I was thinking that might be an engagement
Yeah.
or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah, the way I'm very curious to hear your playtest stuff. The it's just wild to me how many y'all have done, and your approach to these is, I think, fascinating. I'd be very curious.
Well,
Our playtesting is very simple and much more simple than anyone designing a real game for public consumption should do, which is I write it once and a few days, or in this case,
maybe one day,
50, no, less than 50, less than 30 hours ago, perhaps.
Yeah.
We run through one playtest, which is just me running it for Bill, which we record, and I trust his judgment enough that will end up in an all right place.
Because the thing that we have that makes the playtesting simple is we're only playtesting mostly for fundamental breaks in logic or things that are going to be very hard to figure out for a player that are going to be,
or if I've literally screwed up my notes
or if there's something
and
that
forgotten
is
something.
legitimately broken or not actually gated properly. And even those, if they slip through, are not the worst because
We're here.
we have
We're not just letting you guys go at it.
Yes, we are leading the experience, which means we can hint whatever you need hinting. We can describe whatever needs
And
description.
also, it's a podcast, so if somehow something egregious happened, we could just own up to it, tell you, guys, sorry, we screwed up.
And
We
then-
got to take
yeah.
this bit again. I've got to make a quick edit. Okay, can we just pretend that never happened and then edit it all out?
Yeah,
and it
and
never happened.
So therefore, because we're running it, it's a very robust room. It is very robust to confusion or you doing the wrong thing. Because sometimes you'll be like, why don't we try this? And we can literally be like, no, don't do that. It's not going to help. And you'll be like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Right? And because of that, it's such a simple thing. At the moment, we are, we're pretty much finished now because it's releasing. It'll be released by the time this is out, probably, I think. But we worked on Rise of the Golden Idol, which is about to be released, which is a puzzle game. It's a sequel to an incredibly fantastic puzzle game.
Yes,
Case of the
right.
Golden
Yeah, that
Idol.
one's amazing. Yeah, wow. Wild.
And so we've been part of
sorry.
the development team for the sequel. And that's involved a lot of playtesting and a lot of
Lots of
things.
people playtesting.
But that is because that's something that goes out to someone who by themselves sits and works on it. It's like,
Yes.
you test. You adjust, you test, because you cannot you can't be there to hold anyone's hand.
I was gonna say the exact same. So because I used to I did some independent game development out of college, and I remember playtesting was vital for that. So when I heard you guys were talking about that, I was like, oh, it's so interesting. And because I remember when we were making the game, for the longest time, it just felt like a tech demo. So it was just nothing, right? And then I remember one of my friends who was working on it, she, in all fighting games, racing games, no matter what, will just always beat us. And the moment in our tests when she was consistently beating us, we were like, oh, it's a game, because
That's
she
how
can
it's
be
meant to
better at
be,
it than us. But that similarly, it was part of the Humble Bundle for something, and so the Yogscast folks played it, and I remember watching them on that stream being like, they're gonna break it, truly a nightmare situation compared to this, which is you're watching someone play it and you're like, please please don't break
Don't
it,
break
or
anything,
'cause
don't do
you
something, hopefully they see the thing, because there's a thing they're meant to see. They haven't seen it yet. They're not looking at it. They need to look at it.
Yeah, please read the instructions. Please don't skip.
I will say,
pay attention to the controls.
Playtesting for Golden Idol, there's so much of just people opening something, skimming it, getting the wrong impression, closing it. I'm like, please, wait, no, please read the thing. Read the thing that you just opened. No, please read it. That's great. And then later on, they're like, is there any way to figure out who's doing this and who's there is. It's that thing that you never read. Please open it. Or they'll be looking for something and they will click every single thing other than the thing they're looking for. And I'm like, why? You clicked all the things around it in a circle and then you hovered over it and then you moved your mouse away somewhere else. Please click on the thing. And it's such a different experience.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it is.
Huge fan of the Golden Idol game.
Oh, so are we. That's why we're so happy to be able to work on the sequel.
Yeah, very excited now to play.
Yeah, it's very. That's coming out very soon. The sequel coming out. November the 12th, which is probably passed by the time this
ideally.
episode.
Oh,
yeah, ideally
wow.
it should be out on November the 12th. Let's assume that all went to plan.
It's so big.
But yeah, so that was a very fun thing. It was a really interesting experience to be part of. It was also weird for us because it was the first time we'd been creating puzzles and story and character and all this other stuff with a boss, like with someone else whose project it mainly is.
Oh.
So the feeling of like pitching stuff, and be like, wait, we have to someone has to approve our idea. We can't just do it. But that's weird. So it was kind of a thing. It was an interesting process to get used to. Like they're lovely. They're not the kind of people who'd be like, oh, here's the idea. No, you can't. You must do it this way. Like they're working with them is a really nice collaborative experience. But it was definitely different, and so it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
But very cool, very rewarding. I'm very excited to see if people are currently enjoying that game. Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully they've noticed the space bar.
Oh, please, if you're listening to this,
space bar.
if you're listening to this and you
Guys,
haven't pressed spacebar yet, please
spacebar.
press spacebar. Press spacebar right now. Thank you.
Same for Let's Learn Everything. Everyone forgets about the spacebar when
You
they
never-
listen to our
yeah.
podcast.
If you listen to Let's Learn Everything, you press spacebar, you get a Google AI summary of what it is that you should be learning.
All
in that
the
episode.
answers, all the riddles. Yeah.
Lovely. Well,
Thanks, y'all, for this is so funny. The sun was rising and setting all over our various areas of the world. I think it was very very funny.
thank you so much for coming on and playing through the room. It was
an absolute
absolutely
pleasure
lovely.
to watch.
If people wanted to check out what you do, where should they go and look? Where should they be on the internet?
Let's
We
learn
are-
everything. We are Let's Learn Everything. We are Let's Learn Everything. We are Let's Learn Everything.
.com.
Someone else go.
You can find us wherever you get podcasts. Let's learn everything.com. Also, all our social links. We are a science and comedy podcast. We talk about learn about a science topic and then a topic that can be about anything else. So we've had an episode that was literally quantum physics and the history of gossip, which we love to do. And we've also had a guest on that has been on this show before, and we have been on their show as well. Caroline, you want to talk about?
I mean, yeah, we've had guests like the wonderful Tom Scott, of course, who has come over onto your guys' show, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah, and of course
yeah.
we've
all cycled through Lateral many times.
We've all
This
been
is it.
Yeah.
consistent lateral guests.
Tom
Um,
came on our show to talk about how fast a human can accelerate from 0 to 60.
Oh,
And what
And-
tools they can use to do that. So it was, what can a normal
very
person
Tom
who
Scott
wasn't an
topic.
astronaut do
Gotcha.
to accelerate? Yeah, it was
Oh,
a very
wow.
lateral coded thing.
That's
It
niche.
was absolutely fascinating, though. Yeah, we were like, where is this going to go? And we were talking for a very, very long time
He
about
took us on a
accelerating.
real roller coaster.
Yeah.
He talked about
Yeah.
roller coasters.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Gosh, Tom. This is what the Google AI overview is for.
yeah, that's the space bar's job.
Yeah.
Well, lovely. Yeah, definitely check it out. There'll be links in the show note as well for people to go and listen to the show. It's a fantastic show, and you should all go and listen to it right now. Danny, thank you so much for running the room and
Thank
writing the room. It was
you.
very enjoyable.
Thank you, Danny.
Thank you for letting me do
Yeah,
stupid
thank
voices.
you.
Yeah.
And for people at home, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you want to help support the show, the best thing to do is to go and tell people about the show. Word of mouth is still the best way to spread podcasts around. So talk to people about it in person, on the internet, via megaphone, whatever you want. Tell people about the show. You can also support us on Patreon. We don't run any ads. All of the support for the podcast is through Patreon. So that's how we buy food. So it's lovely to sign up. Anybody who signs up at any level can appear as an NPC in one of Danny's rooms. There were 3 in this room,
There
right?
were. So thank you so much to Trent, of course, Aaron Seth Crone, and Anna Didi.
Thank you so much for supporting the show. And then for $5 donors, there's bonus episodes. I mean, usually I say there's weekly bonus episodes. There's currently more than weekly bonus audio because we also have
make
just
up for the
started
fact that
randomly
my
doing crosswords.
Bonus written material has been very behind.
Yeah, so we're doing the play tests. We're going through fun old mystery books, and I think we've now moved on to looking at old Encyclopedia Brown mysteries and puzzling our heads over what the heck's going on. And also, a bunch of cryptic crossword video episodes are out now.
Videos of us
reviewing escape rooms in pop culture as part
and
of our
moved on to
$10
playing some silly
Ooh.
online games with or against each other.
Yes, there's some video content for $10. There's a whole bunch of fun stuff. It's a nice way to help reward you for supporting us and, being a cool person who makes art free and sustainable for the people who want it. So thank you so much for signing up if you're a patron. And if you're not a patron, that's also fine. Don't even worry about it. All right, thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again for coming on the show and playing through. Goodbye, everybody.
Oh, thank you so much for having us.